Alright, so I'm gonna do a little dice showcase. I had this whole plan of like this preamble of disclaimers and stuff. I can only remember one. I'm kind of doing this on a whim because I thought it would be cute. But one of them is, this is not really a sponsoring or an advertisement. Most of these, like I wouldn't say 80% of these that you're about to see came off of Etsy. Some of them just straight out of Google. Like my favorite thing to do is like Googling like unique dice or like necromancer dice or gold dice or stuff like that. So I have my own like little designation for these dice, right? But these will mostly be in order. I'll have a little cute little story attached to most of them. I have more to say on some than others. So each showcase may take 1 to 3 minutes. So they're mostly in order, and I'll have a little talk about each of them. Show you what I'm using. Disclaimer, I did want to make note of that not all of these look the best on camera. That's kind of one of the stories on why I started buying some. Because my brother supplied me with this old Kio webcam to use for D&D purposes when I recently got into a game, I don't know, 8-9 months ago. But these are a very pretty, like, noble purple and gold that I like quite a bit. These are my first set that I ever purchased. They're metal, they're pretty heavy. Not the heaviest set I have, but I like them. Let me turn the brightness down. Let's see what that does. I think that's a little bit better. I mean, the Kio has a little ring light, so it's going to illuminate them a little oddly. But there are some dice that I've gotten where it looked better. I don't have a studio lighting, so they come in looking a little underwhelming, but these I really like. These are the first set I ever got. I like them quite a bit. I planned on playing. I daydreamed about playing with them, and then it never happened. But there's more that I wanted. They've got this nice little... I don't know if that's going to come through. It does a little bit. I like metal dice. They're cool. And when I'm done recording them, they're going to all enter this little, like, monster that I got. Raw! Raw! This bag only holds about half of my total dice. In all likelihood, these are about probably the second set of dice I ever bought because I was looking for bone. Oh, those do actually show up on camera really well. I shopped for like bone dice, and these were my original order, but they're more. I call them bone marble because they're more marbled. Some of them, like I think that's got some marbling. The light washes it out a little bit, but some of them look almost completely white, so they're very plain. They're soft edged, they're light, but they're pretty well made overall. I don't hate them, but I don't really use them. I have to pay more attention. I missed the D12 in that original set. But these are more along the lines of what I wanted visually from bone dice. These are pretty popular. I see like a couple of these in like the Critical Role book when they're outline their history and such. I forget what it's called. It's somewhere else. I'm not going running around for that. But these are like much more what I wanted when it comes to like bone dice. They're soft edge. They're pretty nice. Very nicely made. They're like very well airbrushed. They don't quite give the vibe off of a bone, but I do have a couple of those coming up later. But I like them quite a bit. I still keep the D20 off to the side. My general plan was trying to like buy something for every class, but I don't really have any overt plans to play a druid. But I got a couple druid themed ones regardless, because you know, dice are pretty and I like them. Okay, before we move on, we're going to talk about these Curiosities real quick. There is a seller that I am going to mention by name. Cinnamon Roll Dice from Etsy. Cinnamon spelled with an S because sin. And they sent me a couple of these like cute little like monsters. I think I'm missing one. I can't find the other one. I've bought 3 sets from them, so I have 3 of these, but it's around here somewhere. I just couldn't find it. But every now and then, a seller will just have like too much of something, and they'll just throw in something extra, like this really cool, like this potion D4, and I believe these are D6s. So I'm still getting used to where the camera is. But yeah, they're cute. I don't really use them, but I have them. They're very sharp. I have a special like D4 caltrip bag that I throw them all in. And, in addition to those Curiosities, I have this, like, set of Pocket Watch mini dice. Hilarious story about these. They are much smaller than I expected them to be. I knew they were going to be smaller. I just didn't realize they were going to be tiny. So I don't really want to take them out of their holster right now because they're small enough to keep track of. But that's just this came later. This isn't one of the first ones. I'm just throwing this in there. But I've got a special little pouch for that so I don't lose it. It's very small. And now we come on to a bit of a sad story. These following dice, I had originally purchased with my mother in mind. She picked these out herself because she really liked dragons. She liked dragon motifs. Unfortunately, knowing her, she would never have been able to read these. The text is a little too small. The dragon script wraps around the numbers too harshly. And she didn't see very well, so I remember using her laptop a couple times, and all the text was at like 150 to 200%, so she would have trouble with these. I would have purchased her another set if we ever got around to playing a game, but unfortunately, COVID took her away from us before we could get there. It's quite the shame. If she had lived, I don't know if life and the economy would have let her find time to play with us in the Saturday morning. She probably would have been off to work by then. So it's a shame. I have them. I gotta admit, I don't have a great sentimental value with these because she never used them. If she did, I would probably be more willing to like keep them around. But these are one of the first ones in the listing that I might like hawk someday for a few extra bucks. But I'm not too worried about them. I don't really use them because they're really hard to read. At least in person. They actually show up on camera pretty well. But like, if you look at that D20, I could barely tell what that is. It's a 13. I have to like really look at it. It's so small. So these are one of the first of the few that I have that were a bit underwhelming. But yeah. Alright, moving forward, these are all significantly more recent. A few months back, I don't know how long our game's been going on. It's been 8, 9 months, maybe 10. I don't think it's been quite a full year yet, but a friend that I met on Elder Scrolls Online, the guild we were in kind of dissolved in its own way. That's a video for another time if I ever bother talking about that. But on a whim, he just decided to DM. It's like, hey, everybody, I'm setting up a D&D game. Who wants to join? And we're like, what? And we were all up in there. And we were using the digital dice on Roll20 for a while. My brother has 3 or 4 physical sets that he was using on the camera. But he decided to use the actual Roll20 character sheet system because, I don't know, that's fun for him. So then I started buying physical dice when I inherited this camera. I have vague plans to get him his own camera, but you know, they're like anywhere between 30 to 60 bucks, and like every 4 weeks I have to pay my phone bill, and that's like $60 that just flies out of my bank account, and I'm not made of money. Some of these dice I have to pay for through a payment service. Like, if I buy a $60 set of dice, I have to pay like $10 every week or so. Because that's more affordable than dropping 60, 80, 100 bucks on ones. But these are my only Nordic Foundry dice. So this is one of those I started buying specifically to show on camera. I like them quite a bit. I don't use them very much anymore. They're kind of buried in with my old dice. But I like them. They're metal like my first set ever, and they're a little more petite than some of the other ones. I just realized something. I've been throwing my D4s back in my little monster bag, but I have a special bag for the D4s because this is quite sharp. So I'll get back to doing that. I like them. I like the little like dark red that they are, and the little wolf, the little Nordic script that they have, like this wolf. Yeah. So they all have like a special symbol for their maximum, except for the D100. Oh no, the D100 has this little like, I don't recognize that. That looks like something from Star Trek. I don't know. Somebody smarter than me could probably point out what that's supposed to be. My dice come in like 3 different flavors. 1, the underwhelming. The 2, the ones that I'm just glad to have. They look nice. They look good conversation starters. And then 3, there's my favorites. Now my favorites are a special category where, like the second category, if I woke up and like lost that set, I'd be like, "Aw." But I wouldn't be too broken up about it. My favorites are ones that I would legitimately be bummed out if I lose them in however way. This is one of those first ones that I love. These are my first like Clockwork-esque die. I have like 3 or 4 different types of those. They are metal. They're heavier than the other sets. They're very elaborately designed, but still being very readable. These are quite readable on camera when I play with on my Saturday games. They're heavy. I like them quite a lot. They're very pretty. Oh, that's something I gotta do. I gotta like keep my thing up there for a minute to let it like focus. But yeah, the D4 is quite sharp. I've discovered that I like sharp dice. I don't like soft edge. I don't like it when they're too light in my hand because it feels like there's nothing there. And we'll get to one of those. This D20, I use a lot of my new dice when I get them on the next game or two, and then I kind of settle on my favorite ones. This dice, it got featured as I rolled for advantage once with another set. I think my bone die. I forget what the other one was. 2 natural 20s. It's the only time I've ever done it. I don't know what the chances of that are. It's like 1 in 400 or something. But this bad boy was part of a double 20s on an advantage roll. So thank you, Clockwork Dice. This one is going straight into my red tray. I'm not putting this in my little monster bag. This in the D6. So these are staying with me, and the rest are going in the monster. Okay, so following the theme of Clockwork, I had purchased these. They're not terrible. They are a bit underwhelming. They're not quite what I was looking for when I wanted Clockwork dice. You could probably barely tell on the camera right now, so I'm going to start showing them off a little bit. They have like these gears within them. I don't hate them entirely. But these are definitely a set that I will either hawk someday because I have some better ones that I'll show off later. I'm doing these kind of in order of when I ordered them. Okay, this one shows up pretty well. But I think my brother showed that he kind of had an appreciation for these, so I'm fine with giving them to him if he wants them. This one shows them off pretty well. Like they're not terrible. It's like they don't look bad. They're just a little like simplistic compared to like the previous one, for example. But you know, these are in like category 2, a little bit of a cross section between categories 1 and 2. Like I don't hate them, but I won't miss them if they were gone one day. Now, this set of dice are another, it's in category 3, it's among my favorites. The D6 and D20 have seen some consistent use over the months. I was a little afraid in the promo images that the numbers would be hard to read, but they actually do show up pretty well and clear on camera. As you can probably tell here, there's a nat 1 there for you. I don't know what specific theme I had in mind, but like these might be good for like a warlock or a Horizon Zero Dawn themed tabletop that I would love to get in someday. But like, okay, the sparkle does kind of show up pretty well on camera. Like, I like these quite a lot. I love them. They're metal, they're heavy, they're sharp. It's like they're really cool, and I'm very glad to have them. These all see, well, not all of them, but the D20 and the D8 for my punching damage, it sees some use on occasion, but I don't punch very often in the game. But when I do, these are one of the D8s that I reach for. If they're readily available and in my visual range. I document my dice on like a Google Doc, and one of these are one of the first ones that I was like, oh man, these are easily one of my favorites that showed up. Right now they don't look like much on the way the camera is lighting them. I call these like my galaxy dice. Yeah, see, look now when I get it closer. This doesn't quite highlight the blue in there as well. But the way the light like reflects off of these, they are gorgeous. I use them somewhat often, a little less so these days, but the D6 is definitely like usually on hand for me to do my sneak attack damage or my GURPS game on Mondays. So these definitely see some use. They are beautiful. They're sharp. This D4 is probably among the sharpest ones I have. It's like, it's actually like dangerous to touch. Yep, I call these my galaxy dice. I like them quite a bit. My brother quite enjoys them as well. He kind of pulled one up when I bought them. He pulled one up to the light and was like awestruck. And he should be. These are very pretty. I think these are one of the ones that I got off Amazon. I don't know what exactly they're called. They're not liquid core. They might look it, but there's no movement in there. But I love them. This next set I like quite a lot, but unfortunately they do not show on camera very well with the way the light reflects off the scales. I mean, they look good right now because I'm zoomed in, but with the way I have my camera set up, it's usually a small window, and also my DM doesn't really like look at the camera when I'm rolling. I like look at that 18 right there is kind of hard to tell. It looks a little bit 13-ish, so it's like, yeah, that's a 12. Like, what is that? Is that a 16? No, it's a 15. That's exactly what I mean. When the light when it lands on a certain part of the tray, the light reflects and it makes it kind of hard to tell what the numbers are. I like them quite a lot. They're definitely among my favorites. These, like, again, how I described, I would be kind of bummed out. D6 is pretty easy to read, but all the other ones, like the D12 and such, are kind of like, what number is that? Like it's got a focus, but they look very pretty. They're well crafted. They're metal. They're sharp. They're heavy. I like the sharp and heavy. But I love them. But they don't see much use due to camera. These are some of the ones that I would probably use in person a lot more. What I didn't show was the cool dragon eye for the natural 20. But if I ever get into an in-person table, these might end up seeing more use. So yeah. Alright, these are a set that I got in respect for my first character. So far only, if I were not counting my GURPS game. But, you know, my GURPS character is also a pistolier, gunslinger, so... Unfortunately, as you could probably tell, with the exception of a couple of them, they're a bit hard to read, so I don't use them very much. I have occasionally used the D6 for for part of being my sneak attack damage, but otherwise these haven't seen use in some time. I have better options and more visible options, but they're metal. They got a little heft to them, but they're not too heavy. I think these are one of the sets that I got off of Amazon. Because when it comes to like really unique sets like this, there's not a lot of these on Etsy. So they're a little mass-produced in some fashion. But it's really cool. This, I don't know what to call this. I'm not a gun nerd. I'm sure my DM might watch this and be like, it's this part. It's supposed to like click in, and it kind of doesn't anymore. It's supposed to click in right here, but you can kind of just push it. It's supposed to like lock in, and you're supposed to like click this little thing right here to like unlatch it, but that doesn't work anymore. So it's good quality until it isn't, you know. But this is quite heavy. This is like a pound, maybe not a pound, maybe a little less, but I do manual labor for a living, so I have a skewed perception of what's heavy and what isn't. But it's got heft. It's got its own. It's got a bag all its own. I don't store this in my little monster. It's a little fun to like load them as like a stimming kind of method. They clink. I don't know if that'll come across in camera or on recording. They're cool. Now this next one was it's got a little bit of a dual ownership situation going on. This one, I kind of bought this as a gift for my brother for like a birthday, like last December. It's more of like a fidget spinner than like an actual like die roll. It's really cool. It's one of those like weird things where I technically own it, but if my brother wants to keep it in his room, he is free to do so. Yeah, there you go. See, like on camera, it's almost impossible to tell what we've rolled here. It looks like we've rolled a 6, but I can't tell which die that is. I don't know. Oh, a 20. Okay, I rolled a 6 on the 20. It looks like I rolled a 2 on the 10. And I can't really tell. It looks like a 4. A 4 on the D8. So it's not a camera friendly one. It could be used in person if you so desired, but it takes too long to like spin out. So you kind of have to like, if you want to use this in real life, you have to like and just deal with what it lands on. But it's cute. It's very much more of a toy than a die. But you know, it could get, in theory, it could get the job done. You don't know. Or because I didn't learn my lesson from the dragon dice that I originally bought for my mother, I bought these because they look really cool on their promotion photos. You could probably make out a couple of them, but I'm looking at the camera preview right now. I can't read almost any of these. I think that's a 6. Yeah, I'm right. Okay, so that was a 6. These are like they're hollow dice. They got like dragon designed on them. Frankly, they looked a little bit better in like the studio photo shoot that advertisers do. But like I can't tell, is that a 17? I think that's a 17. I can't really tell. Like what is that right there? That's a 19. So I at a certain angle I can't see that one just blends into the dragon. And that looks like a 9. So only when the light reflects off of it in the right way can I tell what it is. They look cool, but these are more of like being a conversation starter on a shelf somewhere. But they're not as hard to read as the green dragon dice from the beginning. But with that way the camera's set up for, like, this would be a smaller box when we play games. And they're not great to read, but I like them. They're a little bit light. They got a little heft to them, they're not quite like, they're a little heavier than like the plastic or whatever, the resin. I don't hate them, but I wouldn't cry if they were gone. So that started the trend of this first round of somewhat disappointing dice that I got. Now, these are not among them. I like them quite a bit. These are the only like liquid core ones that I actually I'm glad I got. I don't know if they'll eventually dry out someday and the eye will stop following the topmost number. These don't get a lot of use, but they may get more use if I ever play like a old one warlock. This is very thematic for playing something like that. I like these quite a bit. They don't really see any use. They're fine to read. They look good on camera. They're a little spooky because the eye kind of follows. I like them. They don't see a ton of use. It's unfortunate. But following the trend of like liquid core dice, I'm going to feature these both in tandem because I ordered them pretty much at the same time. These are one of those that I don't hate. They look good on maybe on a shelf. You can see the little shimmering a little bit. These are liquid core, but I think they're a little too expensive for the novelty. Like, it looks like there's a universe in there. Like, I don't hate them. They were just a little underwhelming. Also, these also suffered from the same. I keep running into a problem with like merchants and sellers. They have like beautiful lighting setups, and they have like little stages that they'll set the dice on. And they look a little bit different when they come in real life because I don't have professional studio lighting. So they just, it's like they're okay. They're just kind of okay. Now, there have been some YouTube videos where people talk about Temu. They've been they're usually hit or miss. Like, sometimes they'll actually pick up something straight from the supplier and pass the savings on to you or whatever. This didn't happen with these. These are the only set. I've only got like 3 or 4 sets from Temu, including the mini Clockwork dice. Not Clockwork. Just the mini dice in the pocket watch. Those are fine. It's well crafted. The pocket watch piece hasn't broken or anything on me. But these are supposed to be like blood swirls. And there's no swirl in this one. This one is just like completely red. It's just with some sparkle bullshit in it. I think this one is like almost completely white. There's like almost no red in there. And it's just, they look like shit. These are one of those that cannot wait to like pack up and just sell to like a local game store for like $5. And following the theme, I have also misplaced the D4, so my foot's going to be helpful when I eventually move out of this house. So I'm gonna find it in the cracks somewhere, but I cannot locate the D4. Hilariously, I must have lost it very quickly because I don't even see the D4 on my Google Doc image. But I did do a camera reshoot. So there is that at some point. I had the D4 at some point, but I can't locate it now. They suck. They're bad. But that doesn't necessarily mean everything you get on Temu is bad, although you should avoid Temu for other economical and ethical reasons. Alright, we're about to get into the first of 3, although not in a row. These are some of the dice I'm actually going to cite the actual source of. In the beginning of the video, I talked about Cinnamon Roll on Etsy. These, again, the camera will not do these justice. They are beautifully crafted. They have like a little like script in there. Let's see if we can. I think they're called the Bloody Oath dice. Let me give it a second to like focus. But there's like they got like this like inner script that looks like a contract of sorts, and they got some blood spattering on them. These were one of the first dice that I like had a dream about, so my body and brain was telling me that I needed to have these. They are $100, so I have to pay for them through like their subscription service essentially. So like you can see like the script there a little bit. Again, I have some color balancing happening. They look a little bit better in real life than they do on this camera. But they're beautiful. I like them quite a bit. See, this shot does them a little more justice. They're very pretty. But they're also some of the most expensive dice I have. I think, no, these are the... Cinnamon roll dice are the most expensive dice I own. They're all like $100 each. I think she sells stuff for like $120. And then she does like I'm assuming I actually don't know their gender, but the way they talk in chat. They're very nice. They're very pleasant. I enjoy chatting with them. I definitely recommend them. And I believe the next set is by them as well. Yes. These are another cinnamon roll dice set from Etsy. These are the Herbologist set. This is the Herbologist set, I believe. So they got this, or Mycologist or something. But they got this like inner text in there that identifies like mushrooms and stuff. Like what is that? Moonlit mushroom, 90% water. So it's got like some script there. They're beautiful. I love them a lot. They don't really see a lot of use at my table, but I kind of got these because for a backup character idea. I settled on probably playing her as a mercy monk, as like a witch doctor type thing, a plague doctor rather, not a witch doctor, more of a plague doctor. But there was a point where she could have been a Circle of Spores druid, so I kind of got these with her in mind. My first character hasn't died yet, so these haven't really seen any use, but I'm very happy to have them. Expensive, but kind of worth it because they're beautiful. I like looking at them. I like just observing them on my table sometimes. These are going to be fun. I got these kind of on a whim because I just thought they looked cool. I believe these come off of Etsy. Like, Etsy crafters, they like putting shit in the dice. So they've always got something going on in there. So these are like playing card dice. I like using these when my characters gamble. I do usually have the D6 and the D20 available for me to use. Especially with... I usually have this one off to the side with GURPS, but I haven't used it much. But yeah, they've just got a bunch of playing cards in there. The D20 has actually done some real work for me. Not to the point where it feels weighted, but it's rolled well. I'll give it that. I've never had to put this one in dice jail. It's rolled pretty well for me. It has rolled low. I don't really know how weighted dice work. I don't have any that I know of, to my knowledge. But in theory, weighted dice are supposed to like really like roll high for you at some point. But yeah, it's just got a bunch of little fake mini cards in there. They're cool. I like them quite a bit. They're very sharp. I used them quite a bit more than I expected. So yeah, as I said, the D20 and the D6 are going in my main tray, where they will see use in the future. And my little monster is getting kind of full. Not quite there. He can do, I think, a couple more sets, but he's almost full. And we're only roughly halfway done. These are another set that I'm a little worried that the camera might not fully do them justice without like really showing them off in the light. In person, yeah, okay, you can kind of see like this like spooky dark swirl. I call these my Necrotic Teal dice because I would like to play a Warlock someday, and these are sort of my Warlock themed dice. I don't know what damage die Eldritch Blast is. I think they're D6s, but I don't know that for a fact. So I used them a little bit when I first got them, but I love the script. Very, very gothic. These are ones that I think, like, they might show off a little bit better when they're closer to the camera. I like them. They're cool. They haven't seen much use, but they may see use in the future. You know what you haven't heard me say in a while? Absolute favorite. That turn of phrase. So, with that in mind, these are UV glowing mushroom dice. They're going to be a little bit harder to tell from this angle. Let me light this one up for a minute. So they need a UV light to really like show off. These are my largest dice. It took them a while to come in, but they kind of they have a little luminescence. All right, yeah, it doesn't quite show off. I want to see something real quick. I want to see if I could turn off the light. Well, I couldn't figure that out, but I do have a couple stories attached to these things. In my era of dice goblinism, these were probably among some of the first dice I ever ordered, but they took so long to actually get to me. They took like a month and a half. Meanwhile, I had I think the Red Nordic Foundry dice are like one of the first ones I bought. These are probably the second or third, and all the ones that I had just showcased came in before these. But they're quite sharp. They're also my largest set that I have. And I have a fun little comparison. I've got one of these cinnamon roll dice. I have the Clockwork that it's only slightly larger, but not by too much. Here's my Gambler's dice. Now the Gambler dice here, this is actually probably like the standard. I think this is the same size as like most of them. So that's a standard die, a D6. And then here's the mushroom. Boom. Not quite chalk dice, but they're still among the biggest that I have. Okay, you can the glow kind of comes through a little bit. I did turn down the brightness, but I haven't been able to figure out how to turn the light off. But I use these somewhat often, a little bit less so these days. Like I got these in the thoughts of maybe making a Spores Druid someday. But I do use the percentile dice pretty often when I'm told to roll on our encounter table when we're out in the wilderness. So I do actually use these quite a bit. So those are going in my red tray. I don't use the D20 as much anymore. But the D6 also remains in my main tray for like sneak attack damage. And then these are gonna like... This is going to go in my Caltrip D4 bag. But I also consider these for like my Spores Druid, like a Death Cleric. But for the purposes of like a Mercy Monk Plague Doctor type, I'm not entirely sure they'll see use with her when she shows up. But I think my brother has also stated that these are kind of like his favorite dice. The ones I have. And you know what? That's perfectly fair and valid. They're incredibly well crafted, and these are definitely among my favorites. This is probably the longest showcase I've done with them because there's a lot to see. You know, I just wish the glowing came across more. I've got a couple more that react to UV light, so I'm a little sad that we might not be able to like really see them in full, but we'll see. Ooh, naturally I've lost another D4. Don't like that. They're the worst ones to lose, but these are... The next two sets are soft, except... No, these ones are sharp. Oh well. We're going to do the soft ones first, because I ordered these in tandem, because something a little bit about me. I've always had a general fondness for like beaches and lighthouses, and I ruminate this on quite often how much I like the sea. I like seafood. I like the smell of salt and water. I love everything about the sea except for actually being out in it. I didn't particularly enjoy being on my father's boat when he had one back in the day, pre-divorce. So I've purchased a couple of beach-themed dice. Now these ones I'm showing, they should have a... Yeah, there you go. They have a little shell inside them. The other ones don't. Yeah, I don't use these very much, but these are another one of those that it's like I would like to have them on like a display shelf, just to have like visitors to the home to be like go ooh ah. But they're kind of cute. These are like seafloor type dice, and the next ones here are more akin to like right up on the like beach where you stand. So these are going in the monster, and the monster is pretty much at capacity. But here's the other ones, and these are a bit mixed. I forgot which platform I got these off of. I don't know if these were from Etsy or if I tried to save money in getting them on Temu, because if you look at this, the foam didn't quite settle right on this D6. But they're still crafted pretty well. Like they're very sharp. So they're not like, they don't feel bootleg. But to give you an example of what it's supposed to look like, honestly, like this D20 looks really good. Like it's supposed to have this like, it's supposed to evoke the foam when a wave comes onto the shore. And I think the D20 exhibits that pretty well. Okay, so here's a problem. The D12 has almost no foam in it at all. It looked like it didn't settle right, and it just kind of scattered. But I think on this D100 it shows off pretty well. So they got it right somewhat. But I have a set of dice coming up where the dice maker actually kind of screwed up a batch and did not send me that batch. He actually messaged me on Etsy and was like, hey, I kind of fucked up, so if you're okay with a delay, I'll fix it. So I don't know like what happened with these. I think they kind of messed up, but most of them look good. Most of them are fine. Just not quite as pictured. So I don't remember if I accidentally Temu'd these to save a few bucks. I probably shouldn't have. Like I said, I don't remember where all of these came from, but I'm okay with having them. And with that, our little monster is at capacity. I don't think I can fit any more there without it getting a little dangerous. So we're gonna close his mouth. We're gonna zip him up. And we're gonna say au revoir to my little devil boy or girl. I bought this red. This is from Etsy. It's got 3D printed like eyes and horns. This is definitely an Etsy thing. If you look up like Dice Goblin bag or whatever, I got it red to honor my first character, a tiefling that I ever got to play on D&D on tabletop. So. Very happy to have him. He kind of sits on my desk and he kind of looks towards my computer when I wake up every morning. So he's like one of the first things I see every time I wake up. I keep using he pronouns. I guess this is a he, even though my tiefling is a girl. So I guess that's just, I guess that's their gender now. Now this next set is probably one of my very last disappointing dice. I have a couple more after this that I don't necessarily care as much for, but I wanted some like nice gold dice, and this is what they sent me. Now on camera they kind of look okay, but there's a couple problems here. One, they're more like bronzy than gold. You can kind of tell when you compare one of my future sets. Like, let me just throw this one in here. We'll showcase that one, but when you compare these two, it's like you could tell. Like this one's a lot more gold. But we'll get to those. They're also very like plasticky. They're very light in my hand. These are the set that I was thinking about last night when I was thinking of doing this video. I don't have a script. I'm just kind of talking. If I like took this and like I squeezed it like too much, I feel like I could break it. Like I feel like this could collapse in my hand if I went a little too hard on it. They feel cheap. And they were kind of cheap, but I wasn't going to mind that if they at least evoked like the loot goblin gold that I wanted, and they kind of don't. So these are going to be one of those sets that I will either give away or just sell for $5 at a local game store. They this was an important turning point. These are not the last soft-edged dice that I have purchased, but these are the ones that I got where it kind of dawned on me that I actually don't really like soft-edged dice in general. Now, some of the designs that I have coming up, it supersedes that thing that I don't like. I was talking with a friend, and he made a good point where like soft edges make the dice look like an undefined melty mess. And that's another good way to put it. It's like, and these are incredibly light. I don't feel anything in my hand. I mean, I do obviously, but it doesn't feel it. They're too light. So I like dice with a little bit of weight to them. They don't even have to be metal. I have non-metal dice that have some heft, like these gemstone dice, which are also soft edge, but they're also really cool. But yeah, these dice were a bit of a turning point in my purchasing power, where if I think they're a little too plastic looking or soft edge, it actually drops the percentage in which that I'll buy them. So it's too bad, so sad. But now I'm going to do what a lot of tabletop players do. I have this Crown Royale bag that is starting to reach capacity, but now we're going to start filling this back up with some of these dice. Alright, starting to exiting my old era of dice. These have like these look like that they use the same like modeling structure that Cinnamon Roll dice has, but these are not from Cinnamon Roll. But they have the same like style of how the dice looks with the internal print. These are like cherry blossoms or Sakura trees. I don't know quite the difference. I wouldn't call myself... Well, you shouldn't call yourself a weeb, because I believe that's like offensive. It's actually like a derogatory in Japan to be a weeb, because they see it as like childish people that like cartoons. I've only watched like 4 or 5 anime in my entire life. I'm not a huge fan of anime. I don't like the way their proportions are in their faces. Like their eyes are too big. They look weird. My brain has trouble translating anime characters into like what they should look like as a human. So I have a little trouble, but I still appreciate Japanese style and aesthetics. Like I like a good samurai armor in video games, so it's like I'm very happy that I live in the same world that Japan exists. But I'm probably not going to visit there anytime soon for a multitude of reasons. But they have very pretty trees, and I'm glad that a lot of their art has highlighted the beauty of a good cherry blossom. So, fun fact, I think these are one of like the only 3 or 4 sets that I got from Temu. And these are perfectly serviceable. They're very sharp. They don't look like they have any deformities, so it's like I said in the beginning of this video, Temu, very hit or miss. There's definitely reasons to avoid them, but on occasion, getting something every now and then, you're not ending the world by doing so. But honestly, go to Etsy. Like, it's a better option. That's where most of these dice come from. Like these. These are also from Etsy. They're underwhelming, and I don't remember why I wanted these. I think I just liked the color combo, but then I realized when they came in, oh, this is like Christmas. It's like red and green. They look like Christmas dies. I just kind of like the way they look, the swirls. I expected more of a dragon motif, but they are, like, I'm looking at this D6 on the camera preview, and that does look pretty. Like, I like the way, like, it's like a tie-dye melding. But in real life, like, there's a little bit of color correction happening with this camera, and this comes across as more teal, but it's a lot more green in real life. Let me see if I can fix something, and I'm actually gonna do this on camera. Properties, configure, and I am going to change the saturation, I think. No, that like darkens it, so we're gonna put that back up. How about contrast? Now, so there's not really a ton that I can do. Alright, there's not a lot I can do about that, but they're a little bit more green in real life than this like bluish teal that is presenting. Again, these are in like the category 2 where I don't hate them and I don't have any overt plans to actually like sell them off. But if somebody makes an offer in like real life and be like, hey, I'll give you like $15 for those, I'd be like, yeah, sure. Like, I'm not gonna cry about it if I lose them. But they haven't really seen any use. I think I used the D6 for sneak attack damage once. But, you know, I don't hate having them, but they're not my favorite. Okay, we are finally at the more superior internal clockwork dice. These are the dice set that I wanted but couldn't afford at the time. Because these actually do come from, like, Etsy, I think. And the other ones came from Amazon or something like that. But as you can see, they're clearly more elaborately designed. There's more gears per die. And the gears are a lot more, like, high fidelity. There's more to them. There is an aspect of disappointment in this because the way the photo shoot on these showed they were supposed to look a little bit more gold, but they had a gold like clockwork backdrop, and these just kind of have like gold shavings kind of shoved in them. So that's not quite what I wanted. I wanted very like metallic bronzy. But you know what? Again, my camera's not doing them the best justice, but they are very pretty. The gears are a lot more well crafted than the other ones are. So these aren't going anywhere. I wouldn't call them my favorite, but they're not going anywhere. I like them too much to... They're in that weird like middle ground of... They're not a favorite, but I have no intention of giving them up. Because that's cool, like set decoration, and they're gonna look good on a shelf someday. Now I've talked about cinnamon roll dice before. Hold up, I'm missing one. Oh, you know what? I think I threw the there's the D4. All right, well maybe I'm missing something here. That's a shame. Like, cinnamon roll dice are very distinct, and they're very easy to spot on my table. Even when I'm digging in my bags for them, and I'm looking around on my, like, display here, and I don't see the 7th die, so that's unfortunate. Let's see which one I'm missing. There's the D20, D4, there's my percentile, there's the D12, no, not the D10, it's the D6. So I have a missing sneak attack die kind of floating around somewhere. Oh well. I have plenty of D6s in my life. But this is another cinnamon roll die set. This is I think called like the Cartographer's set. So there's like internally there's like a map. There's a series of maps. I don't know if it's of anything real or if it's... Nope, that says that's Anchorage, so that's Alaska. So there is reals. I think these are real maps somewhere in there, like really old, like 1920s style, like sepia tone maps. And this is one of those die sellers that you have to customize what the numbers are painted. And I elected for a sort of red wax seal type thing. So I think they look pretty good. It's a shame I'm missing one, but D6s are very important to me for multiple reasons. One, I play a lot of rogues or rogue types, where sneak attack is very relevant in my life, and also we started playing GURPS, which is a 3D6 system. So I don't like the prospect of losing my D6s, but you know I'm not exactly starving of choice. But yeah, these are very pretty, and I like looking at them. This next set is unfortunately another soft edge, but these are I saw on Tumblr, and I forgot what platform I bought them on. They might have come from Amazon. I legitimately don't remember, but I saw these on a Tumblr post. Because once you start tagging a lot of things, I've been posting my dice, and once you start tagging a lot of them, you start getting stuff on your feed, where I just saw these like adorable turtles, which are indeed my favorite animal of all time. I think they are the cutest things. Maybe the D20 is not the best example. The D6s are always really good to like showcase dice that have like stuff in them, because especially with the one, like look at he's just a little guy. Oh, look at his little shell. Oh, he's so cute. Look at him. He's like, yeah, I'm in here. I love turtles. And this die seller actually sent me a second one that has a bunch of like paw prints on it. I don't care for it. Like, turtles don't have paws. It's probably just one of those cute little things. They probably do this for everyone. I might have gotten them off Amazon, so I didn't really have any direct contact with the seller or manufacturer. They're cute. You know, they got this like Disney Moana-esque like script on them. They're cute, but they are very light in the hand. They're soft corners, which I've discussed that I don't care for. They haven't really seen any use. I think I used the D6s on a sneak attack once or twice in my life. But once again, these aren't going anywhere. They're staying on my shelves. They're staying in my bags because I love turtles. So it's not quite, I don't know what the word would be, not quite sentimental. That doesn't quite grasp the spirit of why I like them so much, but they're turtles, so I'm keeping them. Okay, looking across my desk here, I'm no longer seeing anything overtly bad in terms of dice. I think we're completely done with any sense of underwhelmment here. I think these are all absolute bangers from here on out. I guess maybe the Snowy Mountain one is a little like but these are like, I forget what I call these. They're like craggly gold. These have like an arcane like crack energy to them, so this would be great dice for any type of mage type or a sorcerer, wizard. But I kind of use them for loot rolls. So when I'm rolling to like search a body, these have a really pretty gold sheen to them. But I really love the craggly crack to them, and I love the edges of these. I've got like another set, my other gold set actually, that look like this, and oh man, I love looking at them, and I don't really have much to say about them. The light really captures the blue very well. Again, I have a $30, $40 camera, so it's not the best. I would love to like redo this video with like an actual studio light, but I am what I am. I am a part-time clerk at a grocery store, so I'm not exactly made of money over here. But I'm made up of enough money to make weekly payments on various dice sets because I love them. I love looking at them. Oh, they're so pretty. So yeah, these are a mainstay. These are definitely one of my favorites. I haven't said that in a while, but there they are. I like them. This D20 and the D6 are going in my main tray, and the rest are going in my booze bag. Honestly, I should just keep the damn... Like, that's very pretty, but I decided to do the tray because it keeps them from, like, flying off the table or whatever. But, I keep trying to brush off these, like, the dusty white specks and failing. So we're just going to have to deal with it. But here's another one where it's an absolute favorite. Now, I know for a fact that I got these off Amazon because, frankly, they were cheaper on there. This is, like, a $90 set of dice, partially due to this, like, centrifuge that it comes in. Like, it's like an alchemist agitator. Like, an agitator is a real thing in life. I don't know what the science is. I don't know why chemical labs need to agitate stuff. I think it makes the internal chemicals easier to see in some fashion, and I don't know for what purpose. I'm not a scientist, but It's got these really nice like 3 magnets that really like help secure this, so I can kind of do this and they won't come out, so it's a really nice magnetized structure. These are definitely my favorite dice. I didn't end my thought there, but I got these for like $68 on Amazon. So a little cheaper, a little more affordable for my economical situation. Now, I wanted to use these so much more, but see, you got this one here. This is my D8. This is almost impossible to like read what it lands on. Like even that right there, like is that a 7 or a 2? I can't. It's like, even looking at it in person, it's kind of in between them. And I didn't even roll it. I just kind of put it there, and you still run into that situation. So I don't use D8s a ton. It is my punching damage, so there is that, and there's they have designations. So that's the D8 spot, and that's pretty cool that it actually tells you where they should go. I've wanted to use, this is my D6. This is my sneak attack damage. This one would roll pretty well. It's like squared a little, so it rolls appropriately. So I'm actually using my camera to tell me where they go. But the D4 is like this nice little potion bottle. It's very pretty. It's not liquid core. There's nothing moving in there. It's just the light shimmers off of like a glitter. I would use this set more if I could remember that I have it. This is another one of like those. Which is this? This is the D10. No, this is the D12. This is very difficult to read when it rolls. I guess not so much. That's a 1. I think no, something's moving in there. That's liquid core. Hold up, let me look in this in real life. I can't because I can't see it. Where's my flashlight? Yep, I think that's a liquid core. I think there's something moving in there. I didn't know that. I think my brother pointed that out once, and I was like, no, it's just glitter. So yeah, there's something moving in there. So that's some liquid, I think. That's pretty cool. I like this quite a lot. Oh shit! No, you don't belong in there. The percentile dice feel really good in my hand. I like them quite a lot. They're like ridged really well. Unfortunately, a little bit hard to read. Like I can't tell if that's on the 8 or the 6. I think that's on the 8. So that is almost. That's an 80 or a 30, and I don't know which. I want to say it's on the 30, but it's like slightly askew. So probably better to roll on a better surface. But see, like the D20 could roll, I think, on either side. So this is the D20. Let's see how it rolls. See, on camera, I can't tell if that's a 7 or a 19. In person, it's definitely the 7. That's what's pointing up. This is the side that's sitting on the ground. The 7 is pointing upward. But so, as you can see, there's a reason that these dice don't see a lot of use at my table, which is unfortunate because I love them. But this is very much an in-person die set, and there's a reason Okay, this splice has been going on for 5 minutes, so there's a reason for that, because I love these dice so much. And like, they're also a great like fidget spinner in a way. I've kind of haven't done it in a while because I was doing this on camera once, and it actually picks up on the mic. It doesn't right now. It's not showing off, but I would be doing this in the middle of the game, but the players would actually hear the rumbling in my microphone because this like shakes my desk. But I did this for a while, and I love doing this. This is actually giving me a stim right now. And I have an ASMR artist that I watch where not a ton of her videos give me those tingles, but she does this thing where she will start inspecting stuff like this, and I like it quite a bit. So I almost consider doing this kind of video in an ASMR fashion, but that's not the kind of channel I am, and I think without practice or without the right equipment, I think I would feel a little bit embarrassed to be doing that. I like ASMR, but I am not going to be a producer of it anytime soon. So yeah, I talked about those for like 6 minutes, and it's also in my document where I document and talk about all these. It's the longest section. I've got like 3 paragraphs talking about that because it's cool. But we're moving on to this one. These are in the camp of, these look a little bit better in real life than they do on camera, whether it's a photograph or just like this. Like these are supposed to evoke a snowy mountain. Again, they actually look really good in real life, and I don't think the camera does them justice. I'm trying to skew it to where, okay, you can kind of see it. Like I said before, the D6s are one of the better ones to actually like use to showcase the stuff. But here's like the D4. You could barely see anything in there. I got these because I'm a fan of like Nordic iconography, and I also love snow. Again, much like the sea and beaches, I love everything about the snow except being out in it for more than a few minutes. But I love the way what snow does to like air. It's like so fresh, and we haven't had snow here in a while because of climate change. But yeah, I've worked at my current place of work for a year and like 4 or 5 months, and I don't think we've had snow, so that's a shame. But yeah, these are in the camp. They look better in person than they do on camera. I'm happy to have them. They're not a favorite, so I wouldn't cry too harshly if they were gone one day, but I do like having them. So they're going to be a good like conversation starter on a shelf someday. Alright, we're on the home stretch. You can probably tell by the timestamp. In my search for getting as real bone as I can get, I got a couple of these Oxen Bone dice. Now they have this sort of like wood finish to them. So it comes across a little bit. I like them quite a bit. I usually roll them for my advantages and disadvantages. However, I think, let me check and see. Is it this one? Yes, the darker one has a misprint. So we're gonna compare them. There's the 20. So yeah, this is the correct one. This has got the 20 has an 8 and a 14 and a 2 flanking it. That is the standard. But as you can see, this darker one has a 16 where like the 8 should be essentially. Let me try to I can't quite tell. There we go. Yeah, so there's a 16 where the 8 should be, so there's a bit of a misprint. Only I think 4 of the numbers are wrong. I don't believe they're weighted. They're also not perfectly even, so that does skew the results. They're not so much weighted as so much as they're a little imperfect. I like them. But I spoke to somebody who talked about this. I don't know what his expertise is, but he said that the difference in how they would roll is only like a 1 to 5% difference, which only is relevant to like casinos. But for a bunch of nerds playing a tabletop RPG, it's not as much of a problem. And the DM has stated he's acknowledged that there's a bit of a misprint and they're not quite the perfectly even dice sets. He's allowing them until we start seeing an anomaly. But I have rolled advantage on these before, and I have gotten a 3 and a 1 on these things before. So that's an 11 and a 9. Obviously, I actually know the little factoid about how you would have to roll these like 5,000 times to get an accurate data set. But there's an 18 and a 7. And there's an 8 and a 6. So they're not weighted. They just have a minor misprint. Oh, that's not even. That's a 6 and a 3. So that's an 11 and a 5. So they have rolled well. I think this one has given the lighter, the correct printed one has given me a natural 20 before, and it's like it's not perfectly. It doesn't come across on the camera, but it's not like perfectly even. They're a little janky, but I like them. I'm still searching for like true bone dice. Obviously, I don't want human remains. I think that would be even illegal to do. Unless somebody, I think in theory somebody can consent to something like that. But the problem is I watched a video on this. There is like a law against transporting human remains, not necessarily owning them. I think you can own them, but you can't like trade, sell, or transport them. There is a law against that, but that could vary from state by state. I'm okay with animal bones. I don't want human remains in my hand necessarily, but I want something that evokes like the old school, like ancient shamans rolling bones to divine things, and these kind of, they do a good job of doing that. These are actually going in my main tray. I like rolling these when I have to do an advantage or disadvantage, so really giving my fate to the gods here. Alright, I referenced these earlier, and these are a lot better in terms of what I wanted when I talked about wanting gold dice. I play rogues, and even my like backup character, my plague doctor, has a reason to like harvest fallen enemies for alchemical regions and stuff, so they're always looking for loot, and no matter how they can find it. So yeah, this one got a little cameo earlier, but yeah, these are a lot more gold in real life. Even now they're showing off a little more bronzy like the other ones, but I'll do a comparison. Oh wow, those look very similar, but let me try to get them up and focus. Focus, please. They look similar, but trust me, the ones that I don't like are a lot more orangey, and these are actually, they evoke the more gold. They're a little smaller than my average dice, but this D4 is quite sharp. Whoops, dropped it. But yeah, it's quite sharp. I like it quite a bit though. I like these. I think that the D6 holds a place in my rotation for like my sneak attack and my GURPS stuff. So the rest of them kind of go into the bag, but I like them quite a bit. I love the extra soft edging. So they're cool. So the next couple of sets are a result of me Googling like unique D&D dice, and that's how I come across stuff like this. These have seen almost no use, and yet I'm kind of happy to have them. My main complaint is the red part is a bit homogeneous. They seem a little mass-produced, because I expected it to be more swirly. However, upon further introspection, they've kind of grown on me, because if these were potions in an alchemy shop, this would probably be how, like, it would settle. If they were on a shelf for a day or more, or for years, they would probably settle at roughly the same amount, especially if they were the same potion. Like if this was a rejuvenation potion of some kind, it holds both like restoring your magic and your spell slots and your health. So it has like this arcane, like craggly look to it, and then a little bit of the red, which is in video game terms always means it restores your health. So I don't hate them. They have not really seen any use. I like having a D4 that's a little chunkier than the rest. So that's cool. I like it. But like this D20 would be very hard to, I think, read in a game. Like, oh, that's the D. Yeah, that is the D20. Like, I can't tell on camera. I can't tell if that's on the 18, the 17, or the 16. It's one of them. I got my face in there, and I kind of want to say it's a 17, but I can't quite tell. See, I think that's a 14. But one of the problems with this is it's sequential, and it should be more random. So it just goes down the line. Oh, it's not. It actually isn't. No, it is. It goes back and forth, like the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But I feel like it should be more randomized, but I don't know if that would affect the percentage on this kind of thing. They don't really see a lot of use, but once again, they'll make great shelf decor one day. Another result of weird D&D dice that have actually seen a little bit of use on my table. Not the most thematic for a fantasy D&D game, but I have used the D20 before, and in fact, I like it so much it's going to go back into my main tray. They're metal, they're very heavy. I don't want to be holding it up for too long, because they got. If you threw this somebody and it could crack, it could probably crack the skin on somebody's forehead and be like, ah! But I can identify some of this, not necessarily by name, but this looks like a... This looks like the bomb from Mass Effect 1, like right in the beginning of the game. So this looks like a... I want to say a C4 type charge, or I don't know. This is like one of those classic like nukes, like a bomb. This is a stick grenade, used popular in World War II, I believe. This is a D4, and I've actually used this, so this is actually going back into my main tray because that actually sees some real use. And yeah, obviously we got like a stick of dynamite here. I think that's a D12. I can't tell. Hold on, let me look. No, that's a D8, so that's my punching damage, which is pretty funny. I'm sure some monks out there could make a joke about how their fists are as strong as dynamite. I can't identify all of these. Like, this looks like one of those depth charges that you launch into the ocean to, like, survey deep ocean topography. This is like another, like, nuke type warhead looking thing. But I think this is the one that I couldn't quite identify. But they look cool. Glad to have them. My arm hurts from lifting all of those. I don't think they're my heaviest, but they're up there. Ugh, I gotta stretch my arm. Doing that display. Like, they're heavy. They're metal dice. So they got some... Let me clank them a little. See, if I wanted to do some ASMR, I would have done a lot more of this. So they're quite heavy. I like having them. Alright, these didn't quite have a cameo earlier, but they did have a reference when I talked about my dice reacting to UV light. Unfortunately, this doesn't do them justice because I don't know how to disable the ring light. But parts of it will like glow this orange hue. There's no way. The UV light just blows out the camera, so... I referenced earlier how I don't usually like soft edge dice, but obviously we've seen a few more since then. But these look really nice. They make this really nice marble clank sound. I like them. They don't see a ton of use, but once again, I'm missing one. There it is. It's the percentile. Yeah. I usually keep the D6 on standby for my GURPS games and my sneak attack damage, so that's going back in my main tray. And the rest are going in the bag, but I have used the D20 before in case I, get tired of using certain ones. Come on, focus. Thank you. They're gorgeous. This set has inspired me to want to purchase more gemstone-based dice. They are expensive. They're like liquid core pricing. They start at like $45 and they don't go down from there. So a lot of the ones that I want are in the $45 to $60 range. So I'm paying off a graphics card right now. So it's gonna take a minute for me to get to buy dice that are more than $60. But yeah, they were expensive, but they were kind of worth it because I quite like them. Yet another dice set that reacts to UV light. And maybe I can figure out how I can upload images on the edit so I can kind of show off how they're supposed to look. Because again, okay, you can kind of see it. They don't stay glowing. they're not like luminescent in the same way that the mushroom dice are. Like you can kind of see the glow. Let me get them all on their base. So that's just what they look like, and the UV like makes them real. Okay, you can kind of see it. The UV light really like makes it shine. Let me go like up a little. Yeah, pretty cool. Let's do a little like closer look. Now, I didn't know two things about these dice. I thought they just had volcanoes in it, and I think they looked really cool. What I didn't know, I did not know about the UV reaction, and I didn't know that upon closer inspection, you can sort of see these wisps of smoke in all of them, and it looks really cool. Once again, the D6 is coming in hot with the best way to like see internals, followed by D4s are usually pretty good as well. But you can kind of see the wisp of smoke coming up from. Yep. These have not seen a ton of use. I don't have much inspiration to what kind of character would use these or what kind of situation. However, they're very well crafted. They're very sharp, which I like. The sharpness gives like the dice definition, I think. So I like having them. I'm glad to have them. So they're excellent. Alright, apparently this has been going on for so long that it switched tracks off the hour. So damn, we've got a few more to go. This is taken much longer than I expected, but I did expect this to be quite a video. So what we have next here, these dice were ordered in an era where my brother and I got into a GURPS game by the same Dungeon Master Game Master that runs our D&D game. Once more, he kind of just shunted us. He just kind of popped in our DMs. It's like, hey, we're going to learn GURPS next week. And it's like, okay, sure. I don't mind because I want to be in more tabletop games. But these were a surprise in the fact that I thought, I forget how much they were. They was like $11 or something like that. I thought it was for one, but it's actually for two. They actually come in doubles. You can look up like Oogie Boogie dice. I got them off Etsy. So these are 3D printed. And they also have this like rattling. Oh, that barely comes through. Much like the movie in The Nightmare Before Christmas. When Oogie Boogie rolled them, they evoked this like rattling sound. They're very cool. They feel a little bit weird. They have this like ridging on them, which I'm not usually used to, but it is kind of the same ridging that my little dice monster has because they're 3D printed, and that's just kind of how that works. Like if you look up real close, you can kind of see all those lines. So that they got like a weird like texture to them that my fingernails can get caught on a little bit. But I think they're really cool. I use these a lot in GURPS because it is a 3d6 system. So if sometimes there's been a condition where he makes me roll multiple skills at once, so I'll roll these because they're uniform for like one skill, and I'll roll like a couple others just alongside them, and then they will denote which skill. It's like, this will be my computer's check, and then the other ones will be like my stealth check, that kind of thing. So, they're pretty cool. These have been a mainstay on my desk. They have not, I don't think they've seen the inside of either of my bags, because they've just been there out in the open, ready to be used, because they see a ton of use. Because they're awesome. I like these. I was a little trepidatious on buying like a single die sets. But you know, I've done it before with the bone. I don't like doing it because paying like $15 for a single die is an insane thought to me. But if they're high quality enough and I actually put them to use, then that money has not gone wasted. And these have seen a ton of use. So they are a good purchase. It was like $22 for all of these, or something like that. Because it was like $8 or 11. I think it was 11. And they came in doubles. So it was $22 plus whatever shipping and handling was. So these were comparatively pretty cheap, all things considered. So I'd recommend looking into those if you like D6s. Like, you could play Yahtzee with these bastards. That'd be quite funny. I have mixed feelings on these because I don't like that they take the maximum roll with this weird script. It's like the icon of the store. I don't care for that. I like being able to know what the fuck I rolled. Like, there's the ones, and there's the yeah, okay, that's an 8, so that those aren't zeros, but so that's the 0, I guess, on the percentile die. So for my D6, it would be this. That's the 6. I would prefer just to see the 6. But you know, I got these because I do have like a necromancer archetype character in my brain, but they are very pretty. They're very well crafted. You can see the little itty bitty skull there. But other than the awkward like max roll script, they pretty much evoke what I wanted them to, is like a necromancer archetype. So they have not seen a ton of use yet. I have used the D6 in GURPS a couple times, and in the spirit of that, that is going back in my main tray. And the rest don't really see a ton of use, but once again, I'm glad to have them. Once more, they're not really among my favorites per se, but I am happy to have them. So we're coming up on the end of this, and I just noticed that I've been sitting here with 2 sets looking at me. I've been using my Google Doc, and I've been scrolling down and putting these in order. I have 2 sets here that I have not... they're not on my dock. That's weird. So this is going to be one of those. These were a little bit earlier in the list because they weren't on my dock for some reason. This has a little bit of a unique story. I talked about earlier how one of the Etsy craftspeople actually messed up the batch. And they sent me like a picture of these that were not quite what he envisioned, and the blood part didn't like quite settle right, so there was a bit of a delay in getting these. It was an extra week and a half, something like that. I'm like, yeah, like I want them to look like what they're supposed to look like. So as an apology, he sent me an extra D20 of these and an extra D4. So I have both styles of D4 here. Well, not both. There's more styles than... Obviously, I have a hand grenade in my main tray. But there's like this weird like netting that they actually glow in UV, but that's not really what they're for. They're supposed to evoke like a vampiric blood swirl, as you can tell with the gothic text. So we're gonna, as usual, the D6 might be the best showcase of this one. I'm not sure what the netting is supposed to be, because those don't quite show up in the pictures, but it's supposed to be mostly clear, and the red in the... They're supposed to evoke what it looks like when you like put a drop of blood in like a cup of water or something. They're very vampy. I don't think the camera really does these justice. They look cooler in real life. They're definitely in that camp. But yeah, they're cool. I like them, and the seller was super friendly and very accommodating. He was like, "Hey, look." He sent me a picture of the batch, and they look kind of rough. It's like the red stuff. It all like sank to the bottom, so most of them were like completely clear. He's like, "I'm not like if you want them, I'll give them to you." I'm like, "Nah, I want the ones that actually like what they're supposed to look like on the storefront." So he was like, "Yeah, all right." Again, I don't know their genders. I'm kind of judging by the way they spoke in chat. Like feminine and masculine. I don't know any of their genders. I don't know any of them that well, so. But yeah, I'm happy to have them. For the second set that went under the radar and are absent from my main Google Doc for some reason. These are much like those Galaxy dice. And these are also among my favorites. They are not liquid core. The shimmering is just how the light is reflecting off of it. Like, let me show you the other one for comparison. These are probably, I think they're, yeah, these are probably from the same store. I think I got these off Amazon. But they're from the same storefront, so they have the same style of, like, shimmering. I like them quite a bit. That D20 is going back into my main tray, and so is the D6. Once again, the D6 is probably one of the best dice to show on camera for showcasing purposes. Maybe if I had better lighting, many of them would go well. But yeah, these have like this subtle like green hint in parts of them that is coming across in the camera. Let me show off the D8. D8s are usually pretty good for showcasing as well. But yeah, like that blue doesn't come across in them. There it is. That green like hint. I don't know what that comes from. I don't know how to make dice. I googled how to make dice, and it was this whole thing where you got to get gas masks and shit like that. And like, that's not my life. All right, we're making it, y'all. We're on my last two. I have one in the mail, but these have a really cool sound to them. It's like they're hollow. They got this like jingle, the jingle jangle. So these also have like a Celtic Nordic vibe, which, as you know, I quite like. These, I don't know if these were Etsy or not. I've actually completely forgotten. These are from Etsy. These took freaking forever to come in. They might have come in from overseas. I forgot, but I did not buy them off Temu. These did come off Etsy. But they're hollow, they're metal. They're pretty cool. Unfortunately, kind of difficult to see on camera. I'm looking at that D6 right now, and I can't really quite tell what that. I can kind of tell. I can kind of see the 4 in there. But I have actually used this in GURP, so this is already seeing in some use. The rest of them I have not really used. Because, like, what is that? Is that a 2? Yeah, that's a 2, 1, and 4. Okay, so I can kind of see them. But here's the D20. It's got this really cool, like, nodding that I can appreciate. Definitely looks... It evokes this look of, like, a gold Nordic bangle that they would used to give as a reward after a raid. Not necessarily... This isn't something that they would steal off of a Christian stronghold, but, like, they would steal a bunch of Christian gold, melt it down, and craft their own stuff. And this set kind of looks like one of the treasures that they would make from stolen gold. So, I like it. There's the 1 there. I like them. I wouldn't call them a favorite, but I'm not giving them up. I'm not selling them. These are keepers. Alright, we're here. We're at the end. And these are absolutely one of my favorites. In the spirit of my GURPS game, which is on my channel, you can watch it. I noticed that I had a significant lack of techie dice, like Cyberpunk, or I have this, like, I have these, like, this looks like it could be used in, like, a Horizon Zero Dawn type thing, because it's got that remnant, like, ancient robot quality to it. So I have those, but in the spirit of looking for more, like, technological dice, I found these. The D20 is not great to read on camera. The text is very small, but these are definitely among my favorites. They're my most recent purchase, so these are the very last dice in this video. Well, no, I have one in the mail, or one being crafted from Etsy. So I don't know if they've already made in on mail, but the D6 definitely sees use in my GURPS games. It's going back in my main tray. In fact, the whole set is. But these are really unique. The DM actually mentioned how the tips are, like, flattened a little bit. you can actually like, probably not on this tray. The tray's a little bit warped, but yeah, you can like you can stand them all. I've done it on my flat desk. They're pretty cool. But I quite love them. They haven't seen a ton of use yet in our D&D game, but I've rolled the D20 a couple times. I don't know how well it rolls. We'll see. That's a 3, so not great. I believe it rolled the 3 there, or no, I guess it was a 6. See, the text is very small in the D20, which I don't care for, but they're very heavy. This is another one of my heaviest sets, so I am on the lookout for more technological looking dice, especially since we're playing a space game. So I'll be on the lookout for that. But that is it. That is my very last set. So not much more to say. I don't really have any closing arguments to speak of. I do want to do one thing. So the way I play when our games start is I have this red tray for the camera, and off to the side I have like all of my favorites. So we're gonna showcase, like, obviously all the D6s see a lot of use in both my sneak attack damage and in GURPS games, which is as I said before, a D6 based system. But I usually have all of these that you see here off to the side, ready to be rolling. They're usually sitting in front of me on my desk. These are definitely among my favorites. That's why I started throwing when I was referring to my main tray. So those are kind of my favorites. There is something I can talk about before this ends. I generally speaking, I like unique dice. I said that in the beginning of the video, where my style of shopping is usually Googling like unique D&D dice, and I'll even type that in like Etsy, the Etsy search bar, like unique dice sets or something to that effect. So as you can see, I don't do a lot of like, there's almost no monocolored dice to speak of. Obviously there's the gold ones, but they're uniquely crafted, so that there's a uniqueness to them that sets them apart from just being a single color. But I've learned that I don't like single color basic plastic or resin sets. I like there to be a design philosophy behind it. I'm looking at the preview here. Every single one of these dice has like a design philosophy behind it. Like even the single color gold dice, there's a rhyme and reason to it. So these are all the dice that I kind of have in front of me when games begin. But yeah, if you've watched this all the way through, thanks for joining me on this journey. This is something that just kind of popped in my head that I wanted to do. I had thoughts of doing this like set by set and just releasing a bunch of 1 to 3 minute videos, but I'm like, you know what, I'll just do a supercut. So thanks for joining me.